Hi, welcome back to Countertop Epoxy for another video. We're going to show you today, we have a lot of customers asking about why we do or don't use spray paint in our countertops. So I'm going to share with you just some of the science behind why you would or wouldn't and let you guys make the decision. I've actually done some countertops that looked really good with spray paint, and I'll explain to you why I don't personally do that anymore. Most of my perspective that I'm going to share with you is not art based. It's based primarily on experience in the construction industry. I did do about 1,000 countertops of granite before I got into this. We got into concrete and did about 500 or 600 concrete countertops pour in place. We started doing microfiber overlays, and we had about a 35-man crew. So I was very fortunate to be able to see a lot of jobs and problems and issues with jobs. And that's when a lot of people started getting into spray paint. We tried some of it ourselves in the epoxy, and I'll kind of go over what I saw long-term happen to a lot of these jobs. Some of what I'm showing you probably doesn't matter if you're doing a nice little art piece that goes on the wall or something. But if you're gonna do a piece that actually needs to hold up to the test of time with cooking and setting hot stuff on it and maybe UV exposure, chemical exposures, even such as cleaning solutions and whatnot, that's what I'm gonna go over and cover with you here. If you look closely, what you're gonna see that I got right here just from mixing a white prime coat and some of our black metallic powders is I got a slight marbling effect to actually start just by pouring the product out and torching it. Because I do a 2-layer system, I did add about 2% alcohol to my powder because it's gonna bond with that powder and help it separate, and that's just because of viscosity and surface tension. So it's a different way. Now we're gonna mess with spray paint and everything else, and kind of, like I say, I always want the customer to make the informed decision. So we're gonna torch this one more time, see what kind of marbling we can get out of it. So as you can see, we already have somewhat of a marbling pattern starting. Now we're gonna start out with some spray paints. Spray paints, although they work, you usually have a few negative side effects to it. I'll just spray some first. Leave it mostly on that side, and then I'm gonna kind of, for starters right now, I should probably be wearing a mask because what I can tell you right now is it stinks really bad in here and you have a lot of VOC. Most customers wouldn't accept this if you're doing a job on site in their house. The other thing that you have is most of these colors are setting right on the surface, so if you don't do a pattern that actually chops them in and whatnot, they're gonna be very easy to scratch right back off the surface. I'm chopping these in to try to get them to kind of sink in just a little bit here. There's a lot that goes on when you spray a spray paint on a piece, and although we do have some cool colors, you can really smell it in the room. Right now you'd have a lot of customers concerned. The other thing you're gonna see is yellowing, and the yellowing is not always right where you actually see the color. This can of spray paint, this is about 80% accelerant and about 20% solids. So that means about 80% of what you put down on here evaporates back off. So what you really would see if you saw how much product, it would probably be right down here about where you see the color. The reason that's harmful is you can get yellowing not even on the color itself. You also get a lot of shrinkage in the material itself as it dries. And this takes time to cure to where it's actually even hard enough to want to pour over, so you don't get any waviness in a second clear coat. Generally, considering customers are concerned about products being food safe, and obviously this is not food safe. There's putting a enamel spray paint down like that with all that accelerant is not a food safe product, as well as the easy scratchability of a spray paint that you're putting over the top of this. You have about 1/1000th of an inch that if you scratch through that layer. When you use our mica powders that we generally prefer, what it's actually doing is the alcohol carries the pigment down into the countertop, which is just in the form of a powder. The alcohol temporarily thins the top of that epoxy and lets that sink down into there. The alcohol evaporates off, leaving zero residue because the only thing in there is alcohol and water. This means if you get overspray on something, it's not ruining the customer's cabinets or windows. I don't know how many of you guys have ever spray painted enough, but had I done this exact texture down a whole entire countertop in place, you would have had to spend a lot of time masking so that you didn't put a fog on all that customer's countertops. Just here in our photo studio, we had a lot of fog spraying around in here. If that was in a customer's house, I would have been probably razor blading windows or something for hours trying to get that back. Now imagine this is one little 1 foot section of a countertop. Imagine had that been multiplied times, 60 square feet. So you're gonna ruin windows and cabinets and everything else. You're gonna have a non-food safe product. It's gonna yellow even in the overspray. And to me, a lot of these failures, the kind of hazard to that is they don't happen for 3 or 4 years. I've seen jobs that looked okay, and then they move something in the kitchen, move a refrigerator or something, and you see a shadow that was cast because of the non-UV stability of a spray paint. So to me, and this is only countertops, not art, that's hazardous with a product like that, where customers are expecting a countertop to last more than 2 or 3 years. So now we're going to show you just a brief process. A lot of you probably already know this, what we do, but I'm just going to spray some white pearl on this countertop here. And like I say, none of this is actually going to stay except the powder itself. All this is a 91% isopropyl alcohol, which is used usually to wash windows. And they use it because it leaves no residue, because it absolutely evaporates out. So what you do have here on this side is a color that's saturated so much further into the actual product. And I know it's a real pale, simple color I did here today, because I just want you guys to be able to see the process. We could add any color you want to. So you do the same with spray paint as well. What you're getting here with the alcohol and powdered pigments is actually a saturation into the epoxy. So it's not just a surface color anymore. It's not like a spray paint that's laying on top. It's actually soaking down in there. So if you were to polish this countertop, it would actually polish this color and make it even look better. And you'd be bisecting an actual color that's in the countertop, versus a spray paint that if you polished this countertop and polished it good, you'd have, for one, you'd have different sheen levels, because the paint will actually polish to a totally different sheen than the actual epoxy itself. The other problem is its surface. So the majority of that's going to come right off and you're not going to see it anymore. Again, this is just my perspective on why I would use spray paint and why I would not. We just care about the overall success of the customer's job. We want you to not only have an easy time doing your job and not damage things around it. People always ask me, how do I make sure I don't have to finish my cabinets afterwards? And my answer is always, don't mess up your cabinets if you don't want to finish cabinets. Or you could use alcohol and not mess up the customer's job in the first place. If you get a little overspray, unless it's like an eggshell paint that really absorbs that color in, that sticks to it or something like that, you can usually wipe this powder right off of anything it lands on, because obviously alcohol, once the powder evaporates, all you have is a really simple cleanup, because it is nothing but a mica powder sitting there that you can wipe up with soap and water. So I hope that answers your questions. Be sure also to call our office or anything. If you have any questions, we don't have salespeople here. We just have people that are literally tech help. We want to help you with your project, with your job, no matter what it is and no matter what you're doing. We're here to add value to your guys' life and your job and your home. And if we can help do that, then good. If you have questions you want to write us or chat or private message or whatever you need to do that too. Be sure to like the video and subscribe and comment. Ask us questions. See how we can help you. Hope to see you on a job or at a class someday. Talk to you soon.